this heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
Hey, Eric, man, or Kevin, either one, you need some high octane blood?
Hook me up. What's your blood type, Ben?
Oh, I am O negative, baby. Universal donor. Me and Max.
I'll get the chrome. We'll spray Kevin. We live, we die, we live again. To pod.
Oh, what a day.
What a lovely day.
All right, we're talking Mad Max Fury Road on the Pod of Dreams.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
It is by my hand! You arise from the ashes of this world!
We are not things! We are not things!
Where is she taking them? I want them back! They're my property!
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Want to get through this?
Let's go!
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Yeah, I picked this movie, and the reason why I picked it is partly because the prequel is coming up this year, which I'm very excited for. But this movie I had kind of a interesting relationship with. First time I watched it, I wasn't all that gung-ho about it. I thought Max being in a face mask for the first 45 minutes was kind of a downer, and the plot being razor thin of just a 2-hour car chase, starting out with the second act and going through. But I've watched it again and again, and every time I watch it, I love it more and more. So it's definitely something I wanted to talk about today. What do you guys think?
I was kind of the same way, but yeah, I have a very similar relationship. But Ben, you go ahead.
I love this from square one, but here's I'll talk. Part of it is extra circumstances that aren't directly related to the movie. I was hyped to see it. Oldest daughter was born in May 2015. She was actually due to be born before this movie came out, but she came late, which meant I got to go see this movie before first kid was born, and I was just giddy the whole way through watching this movie. It was.
Did you see it in 3D?
No.
Do you remember?
No, okay. No, I did not see it in 3D.
I did see it in 3D.
I got off the 3D train maybe earlier than you did. It was 3D became very pointless very early.
Not to interrupt your story, because it's a really great story. But
thanks.
This is the last time I went to a movie where I went to see it and it was sold out, and I had to wait till the next showing, and the next showing was in 3D. But I've never done that. I've never gone to a movie theater and be like, hey, let me get a ticket. I refuse to do that anymore. I'm gonna buy it ahead of time, make sure I have a seat. But this was the last time that ever happened to me. And not to interrupt your story even further, but it was so full in the theater, and I remember about midway through the movie, this guy he was walking up with his buddy up to where our seats were, and he fell over. And his buddy like picked him up. He was so hammered or strung out or something. And his buddy was like, "Sorry guys, please don't call the cops. Please don't call the cops." And then he kind of walked him out of the theater. But sorry, you had your didn't have your baby. You got to see the movie.
That's all. Yes, it wasn't much of a story. I wouldn't even call it a story. It was just a bit
Ben,
of context.
were you so hammered that you were carried out of the theater?
No,
were you in the theater?
I was stone cold sober in a theater. Did not have trouble finding a seat. It wasn't sold out, but it was somewhat busy, and it was just a blast. The point is, I was giddy. The first time I watched it, just giddy beginning to end. There are a few movies that I've seen where I'm just, that's it. I'm just having fun and laughing and filled with delight beginning to end, and this is one. Like the John Wick movies are kind of like that for me too. A lesser extent, the Mission Impossible movies, they're not quite on the level of those other ones, but this was just wall-to-wall joy. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with the plot being thin. This movie is airtight. And there's little bits of narrative nuggets filled all throughout it.
So much. It does so much like story building with so little. It's really impressive.
It's a show, not tell kind of movie. It just gets you in, and you have to get it, beat context, just a little bit there, a little there. But it all wills together. It's such a lived-in reality and so flushed out without any extraneous, like, here are just two characters having exposition. There's almost none of that. Like, let me get you set up on the plot, Eric and Kevin.
The main character's face is muzzled. His face is muzzled for the first 45 minutes.
And it's stressful, but it's good. It's this. There's all these little logistical problems all through. He's got to get disconnected from being hooked with the blood, and he's got to get his face mask off, and it's all stress, all at the beginning, and the characters don't trust each other, and it gets built up over time. I mean, it's great. I mean, I love it as much as I did the first time. I mean, I think it's an incredible movie. I'm glad. It sounds like, Eric, you've loved it more and more. How many times have you seen it?
Oh, I bet I've seen it 5 times at least now at this point.
Oh, wow.
But
okay.
I'm with every time I watch it. This time I watched it. It's the most I've enjoyed it. Every single time. There's so much more. And I think it's the mindset. I think for me too, and maybe this is not to speak for you, Kevin, but like it's so different than the other Mad Max movies, because like Road Warrior was such a big movie for me as a kid. Like I used to watch that movie all the time, and it's really nothing like Road Warrior at all. Right. And so I think you're sitting, it's like, oh, it's George Miller, it's a sequel to a Mad Max movie. It's like, no, it's not. It's really not that at all. The only thing that's in common is it takes place in this post-apocalyptic world.
With a guy named Max.
Yeah. I mean, and it's confusing too, because like, is he supposed to be Mel Gibson? Yeah. But it doesn't matter really.
It doesn't matter.
If you try to analyze it, it's like, no, doesn't make any difference. But I think for me, like, we're obviously talking about like just big picture here, but I mean, the action is also the part that sets this movie, because like I can sometimes get bored with the action movies a little bit if it's not done well. Like some of the John Wick movies actually like put me to sleep a little bit. It's like just guys getting shot over and over again. I think the last John Wick did it really well, but this movie, because it feels so real, it like and it is so logistical, right? It's like she needs to get to this place. She's trying to drive to the area where they're going to drop the boulders so she can cut off the rest. Like it's just these sort of like steps that they're trying to get. It's very video game-esque, I think, to a certain extent. But just like when you just plug in, you're like watch a car chase and watch things blow up. There's really like not a whole lot of other movies that do it better than this.
Yeah, like you take a look at the Fast and Furious series. That's completely opposite type of physics. Yeah. That just bores the hell out of me after a while.
Yep.
But you look at this, it keeps you engaged, and the physics are real, and you feel the car chase and the explosions, all practical effects. It's really awesome.
And it's the action's so dynamic, and they do mix it up in these just small little ways because they have so many different kinds of like obstacles. They've got, here's the situation where they've got harpoons attached, and then they have like rakes, and they're dragging across and creating drag to slow them down. And another time they've got to spit gasoline into an engine to try to get just a little more juice out of it. And then there's other guys on these just like pogo sticks that are like swinging back and forth, and it's just like fantastic. every little sequence just fits together so well. And then there's this bizarre, deaf, blind creature playing metal that ejaculates fire, and it's like, oh, this is
there
great.
anything cooler than that? Like
That's
a guy
pure
shredding
metal.
guitar with flames throwing out while they chase down this oil tanker. Like, name another movie that has anything that remotely cool in it.
And that guy only wants to play guitar. Like when he's somebody's fighting him and he's just trying to get back to the guitar. Like he's not trying to overthrow the guy. He's like, I just need to get back to the guitar. I gotta play, man. I gotta shred. You can just see he's just trying to get back to it.
Max gets on that dude's truck at the end of the movie, and he's just like, dude, I'm just playing guitar. Like, why are you kicking me? But, like, the other thing is he's, like, scoring the car chase, too. Like, the chords he's playing is like, oh, we've slowed down, so now he's going to slow down the guitar. He's, like, literally playing the score of the movie, which is also a whole nother point.
Yeah, I love how in a future wasteland where people call gasoline guzzling and Aqua-Cola water and stuff, that for some reason metal music, distorted guitar is still a thing. It still carries over in this apocalyptic wasteland.
Do you, Kevin, have a guitar that shoots flames? Is that, or not there yet?
I have one that ejaculates, but not fire.
Oh.
Okay. Now we're potting.
I assume Emerton Joe is just really into metal, and he's like, as lord of this, like, hobble, I'm just going to demand that metal be played all the time.
I think Immortan Joe's such an important part to this movie, and there is no explanation on who he is or what he does except for, like, literally all that you see. You see that he's obviously in control of this little area, and he has a band of, like, wild, crazy people that are all his kids, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, he's just torturing women, and he's a Viking. He believes in Viking mythology for whatever reason.
I don't think he believes in that. I think he uses that to control. Like, he's got the war pups. Like, hey, sacrifice yourself for me, and you'll get immortal, life in Valhalla. He's just bastardized Viking mythology. Like, huff some chrome, get high, die, and your problems are solved. I mean, I just think it's a way that another layer of control he has.
Well, and I know this movie came out, not to get political, but before the Trump era. But I watching it this time is like, there's a lot of similarities, and it's probably more World War II Hitler, metaphor for this guy.
It's
fascism looks familiar wherever you look.
Yeah, right. I mean, Mussolini, whatever. Pick your fascist, but like, I think that's a lot of this movie because the idea that a powerful guy would use, whatever resource they have. Are they the ones that control the guzzling? Is that his thing, or is the water?
There's three. He controls the water, Emerton Joe. And then there's the bullet farm. There's the guy with the ammo who gets his eye shot out, and then there's the gasoline guy, the really fat guy with tumors all over his body. Yeah. So they have their like
and the nipples.
See the guy that rubs his nipples constantly.
And they have their like oligarchy. They work together. They control their own sections, but they make deals with each other to maintain control.
That's what Furiosa was supposed to be doing, right? She was supposed to be taking the tanker to Guzzling Town or whatever.
Yeah, to just get more gas. Yeah,
get more gas. But
we'll do some exchange. Here's water or whatever other food or whatever you need.
And Furiosa too. Like we don't learn anything about her except for what we see her do. There's no like backstory for her. Which
she's got the stamp on her, so you might think she was once a past bride, possibly. They don't really explain that.
We're going to see that, right? Don't you think that's what the prequel is?
Yeah.
I assume so, and she's got regrets, right? We know she feels bad about things she did, and she had to get in trust of Emerton Joe, so she probably did some awful things. And it's fine, we don't need a flashback. A flashback would have slowed the movie down. We got it. We get just a little bit of dialogue. She feels bad. She's made some rough choices. She's maybe not been able to save people, or she's killed people. Well, she's probably killed lots of people. And it's great. No, yeah, it's fantastic, and it's actually ripe for a movie. Perfect.
But Max gets flashbacks.
Are those the kids from Thunderdome that died, or who were the kids that died? Because I don't have the same relationship to the original Mad Max trilogy that you guys have seen.
In the first Mad Max, his kid dies in a very similar way to his flashback.
Yeah.
But so that was his daughter that he's seeing that you were supposed to protect us?
I think so.
That's what's implied, at least to me, yeah.
I thought there was more than one kid.
And then there's like an older guy too, older black guy that pops up in his memory. Like, you're supposed to save us all. And is that maybe Road Warrior, where he didn't save them? I don't know.
Right. Yes.
I thought it was just like a little, tip of the cap to his previous movies.
It was. I couldn't tell what specifically it was, and I didn't know which one was his daughter versus were these other kids. And again, I've seen.
Have you never seen? Oh, you have seen the original,
but I didn't watch them as a kid. Like, just as you guys watched them growing up. Like, I didn't see the Road Warrior until I was late in college. I think I saw the original Mad Max like in high school, and I didn't even know what I was watching. I turned it on in the middle of it, and he's like with his family eating the ice cream before like the assholes come. And then they tries to hole up. And then Thunderdome was weird. I just remember it being pretty weird. I remember Tina Turner and the Master Blaster stuff, but I don't think I've seen that all the way through. So I don't know that I love it as much as you. I think they're really good, but I don't think I just have the same relationship. But that was the only thing it's not explained. Like, if you really didn't have any clue even about the original movies existing, that's when you'd be like, what are those flashbacks? Why does he keep seeing these dead people? What's that about? I had a vague idea, but I think other people could be more confused. But it's really not that big of a deal. You understand he's upset about shit he did in the past.
It starts out too kind of like a horror movie in a way. Like, there's a lot of like imagery that's jump scares, and like the first like 15 minutes of the movie is just sort of like a visual overload. You're just like, oh my god! And then he jumps to catch himself, and there's all these people below, and it's like bright for a minute. It's just like there's just so much happening in that first 15 minutes. But you learn to set up the whole society, kind of where you're at, without really explaining it. Like you said, it's just sort of a perfect example of just show me what's happening. You don't need to dumb it down. And I know it's probably confusing to some people, but it's just not necessary.
No, it isn't. It would waste time. You meet the Blood Boys. You see the guy scanning that he's O negative. You get that he's the universal donor. And of course, because the writing's so good, the fact that he's the universal donor is going to matter towards the very end of the movie. It's how he saves Fuhrer. It's like, okay, good. You introduce this thing really quickly, and then it explains something that happens later. Basic, solid, excellent writing.
Check out Blood Bag.
Sure, exactly. And then you just get just a little snippet here, a little snippet there, and everything from his battle with Furiosa. You learn about both of them. Like, he tries to kill her, she tries to kill him, and they just don't know if they can trust each other. And then eventually they're like, oh, this is the only way it's going to work out, is if we're both together in this.
That's when the movie just like fucking sings to me, is when they're like, all right, we have to work together. It's just like, you're just like, hell yeah. You're so locked in at that point, and you want them to succeed so well. Because, like, she's really just trying to save these women who've been abused and taken advantage of. And, he's doesn't care about them, but he's like, all right, I have to now at this point. And he starts it's like a perfect like moment in the movie where they work together.
No, the first act is almost like a fever dream because it's so fast and crazy, and you can barely process what's going on. And it takes that one, like, extended deep breath. We set the stage.
Well,
and then, boom,
we have to talk about. So that first half hour, like I said, it's this fever dream. It's this fast pace. You see that she's betraying them, and Max is kind of caught in the middle of that. But it culminates in what I think is like. You talk about this is the best action movie of the 21st century. I think that the sandstorm scene is like maybe like one of the best scenes in the 21st century. It's so like beautiful, but like chaotic and insane at the same time. But just like the imagination to think of that and then have, it's all CG, right? There's obviously not this giant sandstorm, but to create that and nail it is, and then like I said, and then there's just like a pause to the movie. But this is like the 30-minute mark when that ends and the crash and all of that nonsense is just, it really is like like I didn't appreciate how great that is that we got this in this movie.
Now, speaking of that moment, so I want to take a second. Well, right after the sandstorm ends, we get the shot, and it looks initially like a mountain of sand. And I'd forgotten about the shot. This is the third time I've seen the movie. And it comes out and we realize it's Max's face buried in the sand. And like, oh my God, what an incredibly cool shot.
Yeah.
First, it just looked like, oh, we're just seeing sand. No, this is like a close up. It's not a mountain. It's a close up. He's just been buried in the sand, and it's great. And he's disoriented, and it's just such a nice transition as he's just trying to process where he's at, what he's doing, how he can get out of the situation. Like his arm is chained to the door, and he eventually has to rip the door off and carry it to Furiosa's tribe. It's just an incredible transition. I just wanted to highlight that shot specifically. It's not a super actiony shot, but it's incredible. It's one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Yeah, the whole cinematography is beautiful. The color of everything is amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's not like a lot of post-apocalyptic movies. Everything's kind of gray or washed out, but here all the colors are vibrant. It's just a beautiful.
The desert looks
movie.
Incredible in this. It's like there aren't that many movies where the desert looks immaculate. This is up there with Lawrence of Arabia for just some of the best desert shots of all time. It's great.
Do you have a top 5 desert shots?
But those would both be in it. Like desert movies, those would both be in it for sure.
The Mummy with Brendan Fraser?
Probably wouldn't make the cut, but maybe.
Top 5. Dune? Or we're just throwing Dune out the window?
Dune could fit in there, sure. There's some great desert sequences in that.
Join us next month on Desert Month.
Tatooine or Jakku? Which one do you vote for?
Okay.
Which is the one with the monster that comes out of the sand?
That's Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but what desert? What planet is that?
That's Tatooine, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they go back to Tatooine. It's a pretty commonly used planet. But that's Star Wars. That's a different reality. It's a different form of hell being trapped in the Star Wars universe. I am just amazed, but there's not like an ounce of fat anywhere in this movie. I watched this and try to think, is there anything that is vaguely unnecessary, that isn't helpful, that shouldn't be included? And I couldn't find anything. Like this is.
I don't love the part of the movie where it lulls. I think is when, although it's the kind of the emotional like climax of the movie, but when Furiosa gets to where her people are, and she's like, we're going to the green place, and like, what do you mean? You drove right past it, and they realized that it was just the swamp or whatever that they had, and it's like a real bummer part of the movie, I think maybe, and that's what it is.
Sure.
But
it's supposed to be.
I always kind of like, for whatever reason, the rest of the movie seems to like drag, even though it doesn't. I mean, there's definitely some incredible action, like you said, the guy swinging back and forth, like that doesn't happen until that last chase scene. But for me, it's sort of like, okay, we've done the thing, now we're just gonna go back and do it again. To me that seems a little lazy. Like I always thought, like, man, there should have been like a better way for that. But I guess it adds up because they're gonna go free all the people and release the water and go take Joe's place.
Yeah, but they didn't know they killed Joe, though, so I don't know what their theory was on that.
Right, at that point, Joe was still alive, so like, you're just going to go back there? Like, he's eventually going to come back and kill you.
Well, no, I like that narrative turn. I mean, that makes way more sense. Like, rather than hope you find some place that has the necessities for life somewhere out there in the middle of the Australian desert, go to where the water is. They're exposed, and yeah, they hadn't killed they knew they'd probably die in the attempt, but the goal is, if you get there first, once you have the high ground, and not to quote Star Wars again, they can't get up there. If you control where the thing is, they're stuck. They can't get water, they can't get supplies, they can't hurt you if you beat them back to the Citadel. And if you face them on the way back, then yeah, you're either going to kill him or be killed yourself. So
it's their best shot. That's what she said. This is our best chance to ever.
And they made a point of showing that the only people left at the Citadel were like little kids and women that were milking themselves.
Yeah, correct. So, and if they had gotten there before Joe and they hadn't seen, like they hadn't had the confrontation, they were going to have Nicholas Holt's character, whatever his name is, the
Lux.
guy with it.
I want to talk about Lux. I definitely want to talk about Lux.
But he was going to say, I've got them back. Bring me up. I've got his breeders back. And they were going to all come up, and then they were just going to take control. And again, they're fine at that point. Like, Joe can't do shit. All the resources are up high. He can be down with the people who resent the absence of water. because like your little bitches, you need water. Fuck you. Don't be a pussy. Like, just what a great villain moment that was. I'll resent its absence, and he just takes the water away. Just pure assholery. But yeah, Lux. So let's transition to the character of Lux.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw it, he kind of annoyed me, but I actually think he's like the sneaky MVP of this movie because, and not necessarily his like turn from bad guy to good guy, but I just think like he's the glimpse into like what this world is, you know what I mean? And like who these people are. It's really your only way to like figure out, other than Joe, who's just sort of like a monster, like what's happening, who these people are, and what are their customs, and like what are they all about. I just think he fills in so many gaps with this story.
He does.
And also like when he starts to fall for Elvis's granddaughter, right? Isn't that chick? Isn't she Elvis's granddaughter? So you have Lenny Kravitz's daughter and Elvis's granddaughter. That's a little wild. I guess I hadn't picked up on that initially. But yeah, I think that also, where he starts to see that like, well, maybe there's more to life than just being a.
Well, he's really well written. Like he's a kid. He's grown up with all the propaganda, right? He's been told since he was a war pup.
He's like a Nazi soldier who's like, wait,
you've
what am
been
I
told
doing?
this. You need to die for me, and then you get to heaven. And that's what he's been told his entire life. He's not had any chance or opportunity to learn anything different. Everything's controlled. And then finally gets out there. And he's going to kill himself for all these crappy reasons.
Like he just wanted Joe to see him, right?
Oh, you see that?
He looked at me. He looked at he didn't look at you. Yeah.
Right. Like he's excited because a man possibly looked at him. It's pathetic. Yeah. And then slowly, by the end, after a little bit of empathy and failure and realizing that Joe is just and that's a great line, too, when Lux tries to get on to the tanker, he slides off. Mediocre.
Yeah.
It's just a great little moment.
And he's like devastated. He's devastated. Right. And then Joe saw him fail, Yeah.
Right. And then he gets a little bit of empathy, and then he starts to see, okay, I kind of get it now. Like, maybe my destiny wasn't to just die for Imogen Joe and to help him maintain his control. And he does kill himself, but for good reasons. He actually has he sacrifices himself for the actual greater good by the end of the movie, right? He looks at Elvis Presley's granddaughter. She looks at him, she sees, and then he just crashes and kills the big meathead. He's almost like
more of the hero than Mad Max is in this movie, which is wild. I mean, Max is almost self-interested the whole time, I mean, he does go back to them. Yeah.
In the end, that's his narrative arc. Like, okay, I'm going to have a little bit of hope. That's his moment, right? It's just the writing is so good. It's subtle. It's just these little bits. It doesn't take a lot. There's not these massive arcs. They don't overstate it, but that's him deciding to care again. Like, okay, yes, I failed, but I'm going to keep trying. And I know that they need to do this. This is the best way to do it. And it's not just him trying to escape by the end. He could have escaped and he decides to come back. It's great. Furiosa, she doesn't have so much of an arc. She's just kind of a badass the whole time. She wants redemption. And the sequence with her, so she's got the like metal, like robotic arm. She's getting the water and she has the fight with Max. How did they make her? Is this makeup or just CGI? Obviously, Charlize Theron.
She had a green sleeve on, I assume, when they were battling, and they just took that out.
I was like, it looked really good to me.
It sure does look good, yeah.
Charlize Theron has two very capable arms, but it really does not look like she has two arms in this fight.
Yeah, it's choreographed well. You don't see like a hand imprint or something in the sand or anything stupid like that.
No, she looks like she's got to fight with one arm, and she does a damn good job having one less limb to fight with. It's like, this is absolutely incredible.
That's a really fascinating fight scene too, because he's chained up like a feral dog, and he's being pulled by the brides, all the while fighting.
Oh yeah, that scene. Yeah.
Well, and then there's this ticking clock because you can hear the guitar in the background, you can see them coming, and you realize like, stop fighting, like you guys just work together. You're basically trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and what's going to happen when Lux wakes up too? He's passed out.
Max didn't have incentive to help them until he hurt Splendid, is the way I read it.
Yeah, but they're both trying to get away. I mean, that's I guess the common interest. They're both just trying to escape.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Mad Max would have driven away if she didn't have the kill switch, right? I mean,
Right.
he would have left them there. He's cold-blooded. Just wants to survive, just doesn't care. And then, Furiosa knows her stuff.
But that's a Mad Max. I mean, that's Road Warriors kind of the same. I mean, that's the same thing.
Yeah, he's a
the same
selfish
idea.
dude.
Yeah, that's the character. That's Mad Max. It'll be interesting with Furiosa. Do you think they'll have some sort of Mad Max sprinkled in there, or is it literally just going to be her story? I guess I hope it's kind of just her story, but
that's what I hope too. We don't need an Easter egg for Mad Max. We don't need that.
What do you think? Not to switch gears, but I've heard some things really critical of the CG in the trailer, that it looks really stupid. Where do you guys stand on that? Do you think it looks
Furiosa?
bad? Yeah.
I think Chris Hemsworth's nose looks bad, but
Looks a little weird, right?
yeah, we'll see.
I'm honestly a little worried. I'm a little worried with this movie.
Well, it's fine. It's probably not going to be as good as Mad Max Fury Road, but this is, to me,
the
a perfect
backstory
movie.
you were saying we didn't need. Is the
Kind
thing.
of. Yeah, it is kind of that.
Oh, I don't know. I'm cool with it for its own movie. I don't think we needed it in this movie, but it was.
Chris Hemsworth is not Immortan Joe, right? That's not who he's playing. Okay.
But if it's too reliant on CGI, that could be a problem, and that's part of what makes Fury Road work. Is like, yeah, there's some CGI in it, but there's a lot of just people in vehicles, metal crunching. It just feels raw
explosions,
and, right, and just grinding gears and just in a very real way, not a like lame Michael Bay way. But like this feels real and well constructed, and you know where everybody's at and what the situation is. And there are sacrifices, like people die. You actually see good guys die. That's one of the things I like of it. It's not like, okay, we don't lose Furiosa or Max, but the really pregnant woman, she dies. She goes under the hood of a car, or not hood, a big wheel of a vehicle. She gets run over. We see people actually have to die in the pursuit of this violence. It doesn't seem without consequence, even if it's justified, needs to happen. There are real stakes here. I feel, and like the old woman who like goes deaf and just kind of sits there and is like shell shocked.
She didn't go deaf. She was straight up sliced with a chainsaw.
Well, sure, okay. I mean, the audio for her cuts out, so it feels like it's implying that she can't hear anymore. But maybe that's me misreading. But yeah, I mean, she's dying. She knows that, but she just kind of, and then she's just there to. Seems so tough earlier, but they're just stakes. It's real. It's not magical where everybody just walks out unscathed. Furiosa almost dies.
Like a Marvel movie where none of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I had a baby brother. It was perfect in every way.
Perfect in every way. Yeah. and I think that's all. There's so many like incredible lines in this movie, and just weirdest things people say, but they're so cool. Like the witness me thing. Like if I don't have any tattoos, but if I ever get one, I think I want to get one that just says "witness me." It's so cool. Like you're about to die and you're just like "witness me," and they're all like "witness." Yeah, it's spray chrome and just jump to your death. Yeah, it's incredible.
No, yeah, there isn't a ton of dialogue, but it just impacts, and you just this is. I mean, when Charlize Theron is hurt, she seems really hurt. Like. You see her stabbed, and it's like, okay, she's stabbed. She is trying to keep it together based on pure adrenaline, but she is in agony, and it just feels that way. And you're like, oh, his head is dangling above the road. His head will just explode. He's like an inch or two away from that happening. And it just makes it all real and visceral, and in a way that very few action movies feel this visceral and real. Very few. It's part of why it works well.
Yeah, I think about the actors in this movie. I mean, they know George Miller probably from Babe, Pig in the City and to Penguin movies. And it's wild that he can still make such an amazing action movie that's doesn't rely on CG or animation or anything like that.
Well, it's funny you talk about the actors. Like we really haven't mentioned Tom Hardy at all. Where do you guys stand on him in this movie? I'm certain there are parts where it's not his voice, right? Am I making that up? Where they just like dubbed over his mumbling nonsense with somebody else's voice?
Yeah.
I have no idea. He's given the performance this movie needs. I mean, this isn't like, God, the best picture. They've nominated him for a Best Actor award right now. Like, no.
You know, your guy Mel Gibson, he's your favorite actor of all time.
Of course.
And you know,
only because I agree with him everything politically, not because of his acting ability though.
He doesn't do much in like Road Warrior, for example, but he's like perfect for that movie. I don't know if Tom Hardy is he perfect for this? I guess what do you guys think?
Well, I heard that Heath Ledger was the first choice originally.
Oh, that bums me out because Heath Ledger would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Although I do think Tom Hardy...
He's Australian too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Australian, yeah. Yeah, he would have been perfect. But I think Tom Hardy, he does fill the role. He's and not just as a warm body. I think he brings something to it. He's got that certain manliness that the role needs,
and a bit of an edge because you have to be able to seem like you would blow off Flux's hand. She's going to do that, right? That's initially how he's going to not be connected.
Nonchalantly,
he's going to leave these sexy women right out in the middle of the desert because he doesn't care. It takes a certain
your voice dropped. Your voice dropped when you said sexy.
They were. Well, like I think there's a lot of jerks and people that would do, like, even if you were an asshole, would try to take them. And he's got to play a character that is so disengaged from the human experience that he would leave all of these people here, and especially somebody he could exploit or let them die. I mean, either way, very few would just leave those women there one way or the other. And you got to be able to look like somebody that's going to do that. I don't know. Do you disagree?
But he also does. He sort of has a heart of gold in the end. Like he does pull that off, I think, well enough.
Right. You got to do a balance. Like Chris Hemsworth, I don't think could do that. I'm trying to think of who else would have been even a viable option.
Like Chris Evans better. Captain America can't do that. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't work.
Right. You got to have this weird moral ambiguity that is not a lot can pull off. Yeah, Mel Gibson could pull it off. Could a prime Clint Eastwood have pulled it off? Maybe. Sure, if this is the 60s, sure. But I don't know how many guys
it's
do
a Clint Eastwood type character, for sure.
Like, yeah, you're not going to say a lot, and he doesn't say a lot, but you also got to be like, all right, fine, I'll show up at the end and do the right thing before I leave. I don't know.
But why at the end does he just peace out? If his goal is to survive, why does he leave?
Good question. I didn't understand that either.
I don't know. He's like this post-apocalyptic Shane character. I don't know. I mean, could you really see him staying and like governing?
He's moving on to the next town, I guess, right? Yeah.
Right. Like, would he really stay and govern?
At least he could get his car back, maybe.
Well, didn't his car get blown up? I don't see it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it got trashed. I mean, they could rebuild it, but no, it makes sense. I just can't see him sitting there like, I'm gonna be a leader in this city, and I'm like, that doesn't seem his style. Like, yeah, I'll help with revolution, baby, but I'm out when it comes to just governing.
There was a little bit of sparks between him and Furiosa. You think
sure.
Stay there and get your Furiosa on, right? No?
I don't think that seems beneath him, though, ultimately.
Get your ejaculating guitar on. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he had options available to him.
Yeah.
If that was his goal, but his goal is I got to move on. I did what I could here. I did some good. It's in good hands with Furiosa. These are her people. She knows the situation. I'm going to go find something else to do. There are other people that need me, other causes to fight. I don't know. Makes sense to me. It's like a cowboy in the Old West. He's not there to farm. He's there to mosey on down the road.
What are they farming there?
I don't know. They have they spray the crops, right? I don't know what they were, but like
when Joe's running through to get to the locked women cave,
you can see greenery.
Yeah, he's got crops of some sort in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume whatever vegetables they had access to more now that they have the ladies' seed bag.
Yeah.
So they have more options for.
I do love the like that little bit where it's like who destroyed the world? Man destroyed the world, and then the women are the victims there. I do love that part of it too. That sort of political statement about how men are destroying the planet we live on.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
That reminds me of The Brides, how one is called Splendid and then the other one is called Cheeto. and I'm not sure about the other ones' names, but to have one that's named Splendid.
That's his favorite, right?
Yeah, that's his favorite. And the other ones are just like nameless or have terrible names. I think one was called Dag.
Yeah, I didn't catch Lux's name until this last time that I watched it. I was like, oh,
it's
okay,
on,
that's
it's on his brake pedal or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I mean, for me, you know, this time, I think the last few times I've seen it, it's a 5-star. It's a 5-star classic for me at this point.
Oh, of course. 5-star movie, but I've got to try to do some Eric Klein hyperbole. Is this the best action movie of the 21st century? Dude, I made that claim.
John Wick 4 is pretty fucking awesome, and
I love John Wick 4.
I recently rewatched that movie. Boy, is there a Christopher Nolan movie I can throw in there? Does the Dark Knight
if you think Inception's
count?
Better?
Is that an action movie?
Sure. Yes.
It's between those two for me. Dark Knight and Fury Road.
Okay.
And John Wick 4.
What about you, Ben? I mean, you say it's the best one, but like in what company
so far, I agree with John Wick 4. I haven't seen The Dark Knight in a while. It's fine, but at least provisionally put it in there. The standard bearer for action movies as a franchise is John Wick in the 21st century. Those are really well executed. Mission Impossible is
Fallout.
They're very good
Fallout
movies. Those
would
are
be
always
the one I'd throw it. Yeah.
All very well executed. Those are some of the best. There aren't that many like dude getting shot at and fighting Die Hard style movies that I think are that great in the 21st century.
Fast 5's great.
I haven't seen any of the Fast movies except for the first one. They sound silly and stupid and fun, but not on the level of any of these movies. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
I don't know if you. They like. I would have a good time watching a Fast and the Furious movie, but wouldn't be like, man, this is so good. The superhero movies don't. You could put Infinity War on there if you really wanted to, maybe. If I was picking a Marvel movie, that's the one I'd pick. In contention, that's the one I'd submit. But those would be it. Those are the ones I think are the best that I've seen, at least for U.S. releases. There are probably some other great ones elsewhere that I haven't seen. But what about you, Kevin? I mean, is that outlandish to say?
Raid movies? Have you seen any of the Raids?
Yeah. I saw the first Raid movie. It was really, really, really good. I liked it a lot. That could get contention, sure. I still like Fury Road.
Yeah, I mean, even with what I find are the flaws of this movie.
Which are what? I don't know. What would you say are the flaws?
Well, the stuff that I said in the beginning, just the fact that he was in a muzzle for the first 45 minutes.
That still bothers you. Okay.
I mean, yeah, for your star, and he's really not the star of the movie. It really is Furiosa, which that threw me off at first viewing. I'm just going back to my first viewing issues, and the fact that it starts out basically just in Act 2. There's no first act that I can really think of, but there's no other movie that I can think of as better. I do enjoy the John Wick franchise as a whole, but yeah, in the 21st century, action movies have gone.
Where would it stack up? Like, there's just not a lot. They don't make those kind. Where would this stack up all time?
Top 5 at least. I mean, I'd have to compare it to Die Hard, and have to really.
Predator's up there for me.
Maybe. Terminator 2, I'd have to, would be in contention. I'd have to really, it'd be tighter, but I'd be shocked if it didn't end up
basically
in the top 5 for me.
Any Van Damme movie. I mean, Time Cop.
Yeah, Double Impact. Oh yeah, double the Van Damme.
There's 2 Van Dammes. I mean, that's 2. That's twice as many Van Dammes.
Yeah.
For me, the Matrix and Alien 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Those 100%. Ones are high up there for me. But yeah, I'd say top 5 goes up there. I mean, that's just within my lifetime.
I have to think. I'd have to really, really put it down. But it's as good as just about anything that came out before it. I mean, to me, it's a perfect action movie. It does everything you want it to do, and it's so exciting. I mean, the only bummer is that I don't get to see it on the big screen again. I hope it comes out. I hope next year they do like a 10-year anniversary.
Would you watch it
and
in the black and chrome edition?
I've never seen that. Yeah,
they have a black and white
black
edition.
And chrome, yeah.
Is that what that is? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I'd give it a try.
George Miller originally wanted it to be black and white, and the studio was like, "No fucking way. That's crazy."
You're right. Like, what are you doing? No, yes, but I hope it comes out for a 10-year anniversary next year.
Yeah,
all right.
This would be one of those, like, if you rent a theater for an event, to have this be the movie you show. All right, well, anybody have any other thoughts on Mad Max Fury Road?
Great movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out. It's almost 10 years ago that this movie came out.
I know. I'm excited here about the 10-year anniversary. I know.
Yeah, it took that long to get.
No, it's great. It's
took
on
that
Max.
long to get a sequel or a prequel even made. It's crazy.
Weren't there a lot of issues making this movie? I know we talked about the 9/11 thing, but was there production problems and stuff?
They tried to make it a bunch of times. They tried to make it in 2001, then obviously 9/11 happened. Then again in 2003, but then the Iraq War happened, and they couldn't film it where they wanted it to. And then they tried to film it in 2010, but that's when they first signed Tom Hardy, back in his Inception days. And it rained where they had wanted to film in Australia, and it became an oasis. So like the dried out, arid environment that they were hoping to shoot for just became full of flowers and pelicans and water, so they couldn't do it then.
So they lost the green space, huh?
Yeah, they found the green space. And so they finally filmed it in 2012, and it took 3 years for it to finally come out after that.
I can see it. I mean, you see the effort on screen. I mean,
it looks hard. It looked like a hard movie to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't
His
look like,
wife
this was
edited
easy.
the
It didn't
movie,
look like you could crank that up.
And it took her 3 months just to go through all the footage, and then it took her 2 years to finally edit it down and she won the Oscar for it. Oscar Gold.
Correct. It's incredible. So you guys are. I mean, is this the best Mad Max movie? I mean, for me, it is obviously.
I've had that debate. Honestly, I think Road Warrior might be better. The Road Warrior is like
Road Warrior
perfect
of the
movie.
first three is the best for sure.
It's a perfect movie if you ask me. Perfect action movie.
I would love to go back and watch that movie.
Okay.
Been a while.
Yeah, I recently rewatched it. It is flawless.
Yeah, and I'm old enough to have watched Beyond Thunderdome in the theater, and that was a wild experience.
What did you think watching that for the first time? I mean, and that's interesting. Isn't that the worst of the trilogy? Isn't that universally regarded as the worst of the original three?
It was more cartoony than the other two. Like the other two were very dry, and this one was like all out, just crazy. You talk about world building. This one had like so much oddities.
2 men enter, 1 man leave. 2 men enter.
I just remember the song by Tina Turner.
I remember her singing. I don't remember the song.
I was just looking up Tom Hardy's 2010s. Pretty wild. So it starts out with Inception in 2010.
Greatest movie ever made, right, Eric?
Greatest movie. Then Dark Knight Rises. Locke. Have you guys seen that movie? That's kind of a weird. He's in a car. He's driving the whole movie.
I remember this.
Fury Road, The Revenant. Same year, 2015.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Dunkirk, and then Venom. Like, what a weird decade of movies for this guy. And he's in other stuff beyond that, but like,
is The Revenant just a worse Fury Road?
I love The Revenant. I really like that movie. It's sort of him just trying to get to one place in that way. It's very similar. It's definitely more of like a art film though, I think. I love that movie a lot. I think that's a great movie.
Didn't win an Oscar, though.
Good.
Didn't win an Oscar for that year. Best Picture.
But Leo won. Leo won. Best actor, yeah. Anyways, so, yeah, we all love it. Did you get 5, is it 5 stars for you, Kevin? Did you say that?
Yeah, it's 5 stars.
Okay.
I can't say that it's any less than that.
But I do, it's weird. I had the exact same reaction when I first saw it as you did.
Yeah, I think it's probably because we remember the first 3 movies, and it was just kind of hard to get over a different Mad Max.
The other thing, like, Waterworld was a big movie for me when I was younger, and this has a lot of similar beats to Waterworld. I mean, Waterworld is definitely a way lesser movie, but like the idea where they're trying to get to in that movie, it's the dry land, not the green space, but then they realize that it doesn't exist; it's already gone, and there's kind of that sort of twist, this similar to this movie. That may be part of it too for me.
Yeah, and Costner was an asshole
How does
in that
Waterworld
movie
end?
too.
They end
Like,
up finding
do they-
the green space. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Or the
Okay,
dry
that's
land
like
or
didn't that
whatever.
end up?
Yeah.
Didn't they that
Yeah.
whole payout right? Because they
Well, that
take
girl had the
down
map on her back or something
the guy
like
from
that.
Yeah,
Easy
she had a
Rider.
map on her back. Yep.
Yeah.
Tattooed just like the blood bags.
Dennis Hopper's
Yeah,
the villain. Am I
yeah.
remembering
He was
correctly?
a very entertaining villain. He chewed
he's
up a lot of
just great.
scenery
I
for
mean,
that. that's for
One
sure.
of the all-time biggest bombs, and I could see where like there's a world where this movie was a huge bomb.
Well, this movie didn't make all that much money. Off of its huge budget, it actually lost money in the U.S. market.
Yeah, I could see that's rated R, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I could see that.
Domestically, it lost $40 million. So yeah,
That's
why
depressing.
that's
Okay.
why I think it took so long to get Furiosa made, because
Yeah,
George
that's
Miller didn't get his bonus for whatever reason.
Not a safe bet.
golly,
Yeah.
that just disappoints me immensely because this is as well made of an action movie as is just like possible to
I
make.
feel like if it came
just-
out now, it probably would have a different. Don't you think it'd be a bigger
like
deal?
as a contrast
Yeah.
of the Marvel exhaustion
I think
that
so.
everybody's
I
got
think
all of a
so.
sudden.
I think
you think,
2015 was like Marvel. Is this superhero on it? Then no, I'm not seeing it. Whereas
yeah, we're kind of in the thick of
Yeah,
it
and
in
the Fast and
2015.
Furious movies were out. I think was it Fast 7 that was out
oh
at
yeah,
this time?
for sure. Yep. Fast 7's actually one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It's probably the second best
I
one.
know it's just astounding. There's 10
Yeah,
now, right?
X
We did
just came
X
out,
most
yeah.
recently last year.
Awful, like all time
My God.
awful. You liked it?
That was I did not like Jason Momoa. He was ridiculous in it.
Yeah, losing his mind. Yeah, it was
yeah.
crazy.
But it was it was the first one I watched since 3, so I was entertained by it. I guiltily admit.
None of it makes it. See, again, not to reiterate the point, but like none of that movie makes any sense how anybody gets to where they are or how they appear
right,
where
right.
they're. Like it's just like, oh, they're here now and now they're in another place. But like Fury Road, you know exactly where everybody is. And there's nobody, they don't skip those steps, like the continuity of where they are. Like they're exactly at the spot you would think they would be when they have to come back. Joe's in his truck just waiting there sad because his bride died. That's the exact place you would think he would be. He doesn't just appear out of nowhere.
I got a question for you two. Would you rather be from Gastown or Bullet Town?
If I'm in
Or Bullet
Gastown, do I have
Farm?
to like massage the like tumored feet and stuff?
It looks like you do.
Then I would probably go with Bullet Farm on that alone. What would you do?
What's more important for a post-apocalyptic world, gasoline or bullets?
That's the thing. You need water, you need bullets, and you need gas, apparently. Those are the 3 staples.
Well, in Road Warrior, it was all about the gas,
Just
right? That's
walking
why
in.
they were attacking
Just
that
walking
village.
in.
Because
Yeah.
they had...
The guy in the hockey mask, right? Is that the guy that's okay? Yeah, I think I've only seen Road Warrior
Yeah.
once. You guys have at least convinced me to watch Road Warrior again.
Oh, go rewatch
Okay.
it. It's really
But
phenomenal.
let me use transition here. So I've got 5 clues. You're going to guess what movie we're doing next. We're going to do a slight gear change. Not a massive one necessarily, depending on how you want to look at it.
Oh, gear?
No,
was that
I know
a
what I
pun,
said. That's
intended
just a
pun?
little
Or
bonus.
just
Read into that what
just-
you will. So I'm going to start with the first clue. Got 5 clues. I'm going to see if Kevin and Eric can guess. First clue, I'm going to give you the year 1999. Great year for movies. Any guesses?
99.
Matrix.
So
Is
that's
that
the
your guess?
Matrix, right? 99.
Wait,
It
is that
is,
the
but
Fight
that's
Club?
not the movie I'm
Is Fight
picking.
Club
But that
99?
did come out in 1999. You're at least in the right year. American Beauty.
What won Best
It's
Picture
not
in
American Beauty.
1999? Oh, God.
Classic.
You can't watch
classic.
that again with Kevin Spacey. Just an average American dad.
Yep. Lusting
Yeah, it
after the
doesn't
high
hold up.
school
Nothing
neighbor.
creepy
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's I did not pick
Yeah, that
American
doesn't
Beauty.
work. Wow.
Like, let's go to clue number 2. So I'm
Thank
going to
you.
give you just. There's a lot of popular songs on the soundtrack to this movie. I'm going to give you like we'll do 3. The September of My Years by Frank Sinatra. This is all just one clue. I'm Let's do So What, Jane's Addiction, Janie Jones, The Clash, and then let's do Red Red Wine by UB40. Those are a selection of 4 of the songs. There's a lot more.
Love that song.
UB40, Red Red Wine?
Yeah, I like the original better, but it's a good song.
Is that...
Okay, those
Correct.
are all on the soundtrack to this movie.
That's 97.
Titanic's also
and
99,
it's not
but it's
Titanic.
definitely not. Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Which won Best Picture in 97.
So,
Yeah,
wrong,
but
wrong
anyway.
on both counts.
That help? I think of all those, Red Red Wine is the one, if you've seen this movie before, that probably would stick out to you the most. But I also haven't seen this movie in a while. It's just the one I remember the most. Okay. Clue number 3. This one, Eric. This may give it away to you, Eric. I don't know if it'll help Kevin, but I think you've referenced this before. This was the last movie ever put on Laserdisc in the U.S. And I swear this came up in a clue you gave once upon a time, Eric, but it's...
Well, I remember I've talked about my cousin having a Laserdisc player and watching Army of Darkness.
No, it's not Army of Darkness,
Laserdisc,
but that's
not
fun.
99.
Yes, it's a lot. It's earlier
That's
than
what,
90s.
93 or 94?
So, but this movie that came out was the last movie ever put on Laserdisc. The latest movie ever put on Laserdisc.
Is it
Sideways is a few years later.
Sideways
You
99?
think of the wine movie? Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 2002, 2003.
Okay. I'm gonna give you now. I'm gonna try to get this. We're gonna get this. Clues are gonna get a little more helpful. The star of the movie
I
is
feel like
Nicolas
I
Cage.
should
That's
know
clue number
this.
4.
Like
I'm seeing a lot of confused. Nobody can see this. I'm seeing
Cage.
looks of scrutiny that
Is it
aren't.
9mm?
It's not 9mm.
It's not like Face Off or Con Air, right?
Well, it's neither one of those.
no.
Those are all earlier. Is
I
it
love it.
adaptation?
It's not adaptation. I love adaptation, but it is not adaptation.
Yeah, I don't remember those songs in adaptation.
Yeah. Jeez, Nick Cage. I would know Nick Cage. I've studied his catalog.
Okay.
It's not The Rock. That's
It's
earlier.
not The Rock. Nope. Not The Rock.
Let's go through Nick Cage's filmography in my head.
All right, this is actually kind of fun. Just
Snake
two grown
Eyes?
men befuddled, not Snake Eyes. Absolutely
Eyes?
trying to think.
That's
what
earlier.
What Nick Cage movie could this be? He's been in a lot of movies.
He's been in a lot of movies.
Are you guys ready
One
for
where
number
he's in
5?
love with a pig.
It's not Ghost Rider. That's later.
Oh man, now I wish I would have picked Ghost Rider, but it's not Ghost Rider. It's definitely not.
Jeez, Nick Cage.
Are you ready?
99.
You ready for clue
Is-
number 5?
Yeah.
Wait, does he play Elvis in the movie?
No. I don't remember what movie that is, but that's not this one.
Leaving Las Vegas. That's earlier.
It's not Leaving Las Vegas. It's a bummer of a movie. It's great.
Never seen it.
All right, I'm going to give you clue number 5. The director of this movie is Martin Scorsese.
Oh, Bringing Out the Dead?
Yes, there you go.
Oh, okay.
I actually just watched this like a month and a half ago, 2 months
Oh,
ago.
wow. Okay. All right. Well,
Is
Bonkers
Patricia
movie.
Arquette in it?
Yep.
she is
Yep.
indeed.
Okay. I saw this in the theater, and I totally don't remember it.
So it's one of those movies like that just doesn't get talked about in Martin Scorsese's filmography all that much. It just gets kind of forgotten. I saw it and I couldn't organize my thoughts back then. It's one I need to rewatch and I want to talk about because I think there's stuff to talk about. But yeah, he's a paramedic driver, which is why there's a gear connection tangentially.
Gosh, I thought this was later of a movie.
Yeah, I did too.
99,
No, it's
okay.
99. It's before Gangs of New York. That's the first like Scorsese movie I remember coming out as Gangs of New York. I don't really remember Bringing Out the Dead coming out.
I'm sure I saw Gangs of New York in the theater. That might have been my first Scorsese in a theater movie.
Me too, I think. Well, yeah, I'm sure. I didn't see Goodfellas or anything or Casino.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's I want to watch Bring Out the Dead again. It's been a while. I want to talk about it. I think it's an interesting one. So, save us your thoughts, Eric. Don't spoil it yet. We'll I want to hear about it next time we talk. So, all right, we're gonna be. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been The Pod of Dreams, Mad Max Fury Road.
Witness me!
You are Smeg to each slinger.
Bye.
Bye-bye.